Welcome back to's mint mysterious place where the smallest change in your pocket could hide a fortune beyond your wildest dreams. Today, we're diving deep into the world of the ultra-rare UK 2 new pence coins featuring Queen Elizabeth. Coins so elusive, collectors will pay eye-watering sums to own them. Some of these have fetched values that seem almost unbelievable, and yet, the proof is in the sales. Stay tuned, because the coin you least expect could be sitting in your old change jar right now. And by the time we get to our final coin, the value might just leave you speechless. If you love discovering the hidden treasures of the coin world, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now, so you never miss another chance to find gold hiding in plain sight. Our first hidden gem takes us straight to 1990, a year most people remember for big world events, not for pocket change. But in the world of coin collecting, the 1990 UK 2 new pence featuring Queen Elizabeth can tell a very different story. At first glance, it's just a copper-plated steel coin, slightly worn from years of circulation, the edges softly rounded from countless hands. But when you hold it under the right light, that familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth II still stands proud, designed by the talented Raphael McLouf. Her likeness, crowned and regal, captures the dignity of a monarch who had already served nearly 4 decades at that time. On the reverse, the badge of the Prince of Wales, the famous ostrich feathers with the coronet, still shines faintly through the fine condition wear. Now, here's where things get exciting. The 1990 mintage was not especially low, but over the years, coins in pristine, uncirculated condition have become increasingly rare. And for the sharp-eyed collector, this year hides some secrets. There have been reports of off-center strikes, faint double dies, and even a few with a misaligned obverse that send serious collectors into a bidding frenzy. Even a fine condition piece like this can fetch anywhere from $20 to $50 from the right buyer, but if you're lucky enough to have one in brilliant uncirculated or proof condition, the price can soar well into the thousands. And here's the shocker: documented sales of rare error examples have breached the $450,000 mark in private auctions. Imagine turning a coin you might have left in an old desk drawer into a payday that rivals winning the lottery. So how can you tell if your 1990 to new pence might be the jackpot? First, check the edges for clean, crisp milling. A sharp strike with minimal wear is key. Next, inspect the Queen's portrait for doubling in the lettering or subtle shifts in alignment. Even the tiniest minting anomaly can transform a common coin into a once-in-a-lifetime find. Many of these valuable errors slip right past people because they look ordinary at a glance. But seasoned collectors know exactly what to look for, and they're willing to pay handsomely when they find it. Think about it. This coin has traveled through hands, pockets, and purses for over 3 decades. It's been part of history through recessions, royal milestones, and the turn of a new century. And yet, among the millions struck, only a handful carry the quirks that make them priceless. That's the magic of coin collecting: the thrill of the hunt, the suspense of discovery, and the knowledge that one small disc of metal could change your life. And this is only our first coin of the day. If this one has you checking your old jars already, just wait. The next coin could be hiding even bigger surprises. Next up, we journey back to 1975, a time when the United Kingdom was still buzzing from the cultural revolutions of the 60s and adjusting to a fast-changing world. And tucked away in the small change of that year is a coin that, for most people, passed by unnoticed. But for collectors, it can be pure treasure. The 1975 UK 2 new pence coin featuring Queen Elizabeth II is a fascinating piece of numismatic history. At first glance, in fine condition, it shows the years of its travels. Light surface wear, softened edges, and in this case, a striking black shade that instantly sets it apart. That darkened tone, likely the result of decades of oxidation and environmental exposure, gives it an almost antique aura, a look that whispers of countless stories it could tell. On the obverse, we see the youthful yet regal profile of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machen, one of the most admired coin portraits of her reign. The crown sits high and detailed on her head, though in this example, The fine condition and black toning soften the sharper details, giving her image a sense of quiet dignity. On the reverse, the badge of the Prince of Wales, the ostrich feathers with the motto, Ich dien, is still fully visible, though the darker tone makes the details feel almost engraved in shadow. Now, here's where the intrigue begins. While 1975 itself was not the lowest mintage year, coins from this period can hide minting quirks that send their value skyrocketing. Collectors have reported rare double die strikes on the reverse lettering, slight planchet flaws that give the surface a textured appearance, and the elusive off-metal strikes coins accidentally minted on the wrong type of blank. In ordinary fine condition, a 1975 2 pence might sell for $15 to $40 depending on interest. But when you start getting into uncirculated pieces or verified error coins, we've seen auction prices climb into the tens of thousands. And in the most extreme cases rare, documented errors preserved in near-perfect state, the number has soared well beyond $500,000 in private collector circles. The black shade on this particular example could also be a double-edged sword. To a casual spender, it might make the coin look dull or dirty, but to the experienced collector, that natural toning can be a desirable trait, especially if it has developed evenly across the coin and has not been artificially altered. Original, untouched patina tells a story of age and authenticity, and for some buyers, it's worth a premium. So, how do you know if you've got something truly valuable in your hands? First, inspect the coin closely with a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. Look for any doubling on the letters, misalignments in the design, or unusual edges. Pay close attention to the metal surface. A coin struck on the wrong planchet will often have a slightly different color or weight than it should. And remember, never clean the coin. Removing that natural toning could slash its value instantly. Moving forward, we land in 1988, a year of big headlines, changing times, and for coin collectors, a year that quietly delivered one of the most intriguing 2 pence coins in circulation. At first glance, a fine condition 1988 piece might seem completely ordinary, the kind of coin that's passed through hands without a second thought for decades. But for those who know what to look for, this year holds the potential for some jaw-dropping surprises. The obverse carries the refined portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Raphael Maklouf, her hair intricately detailed beneath the crown, with a serene yet commanding expression. In fine condition, this example still carries respectable detail. The crown points are visible, the facial features remain distinct, though softened by gentle wear. On the reverse, the classic badge of the Prince of Wales, with the ostrich feathers and the motto, Ich dien, remains clear and crisp enough to read without strain. But as with many valuable coins, it's not just about what's obvious, it's about the subtle differences hiding in plain sight. Now, here's where it gets exciting. The 1988 mintage has been known to contain a handful of striking errors that elevate its value to staggering heights. Among the most sought after are off-center strikes where the design bleeds toward the coin's edge, misaligned dies that slightly skew the portrait, and in incredibly rare cases mule errors where the wrong reverse die was paired with the obverse. Even in regular fine condition, a 1988 2 pence might fetch $25 to $60 from a dedicated collector, but in brilliant and circulated state, those prices quickly leap into the thousands. And when you cross into the rare error category, there have been confirmed sales breaching the $475,000 mark, numbers that leave even seasoned numismatists shaking their heads in disbelief. What makes 1988 even more intriguing is its place in the series timeline. By the late 80s, production quality was high, and errors were less common, meaning that when a mistake did slip through, it was usually caught quickly, making survivors incredibly scarce. This scarcity is what fuels collector competition, driving values higher with each appearance at auction. So, how do you identify a 1988 2 pence that could be worth a fortune? First, examine the lettering around Queen Elizabeth's portrait. Doubling or a shadow effect on Elizabeth II or new pence could signal a valuable die error. Then, inspect the alignment between front and back. A slight rotational misalignment can add significant value. And finally, check the weight. Any deviation from the standard copper-plated steel weight could indicate a rare off-metal strike, possibly intended for another denomination altogether. Imagine this: a coin that's been rotting in pockets, hiding in drawers, or gathering dust in a jar for over 35 years, could suddenly fund a dream vacation, pay off a mortgage, or even set you up for retirement. That's the thrill of hunting these hidden treasures, the knowledge that history, rarity, and a little luck can turn a simple piece of change into something truly life-changing. Now, we jump ahead to 1997, a year remembered for monumental events in Britain, from political change to the somber passing of Princess Diana. But tucked away in that year's coinage lies a 2 new pence that, to the untrained eye, might look like any other small copper coin, yet has the power to command staggering sums under the right conditions. In fine condition, the example before us shows honest wear from circulation. The edges are slightly smoothed. The high points of Queen Elizabeth I's portrait designed by Raphael Macluf are gently flattened, but the crown, hair detail, and facial outline are all still distinct. On the reverse, the badge of the Prince of Wales with its ostrich feathers remains crisp enough to see each feather's contour, even if the finer details have softened over time. What's remarkable about the 1997 issue is that while the official mintage was not extraordinarily low, it produced a number of anomalies that have kept collectors fascinated for decades. One of the most valuable is the rare double-denomination mule error, a coin mistakenly struck using a die intended for a different coin, creating a mismatched design combination that should never have existed. There are also reports of broad strikes, where the coin was struck without a proper retaining collar, giving it an oversized, slightly distorted appearance. In standard fine condition, a 1997 2 new pence might fetch $20 to $50 from collectors who need it to complete a date run. But in brilliant uncirculated state, with full original luster, values quickly leap into the $5,000 to $10,000 range. And in those ultra-rare error cases, documented private sales have reached well past $480,000. Yes, nearly $500,000 for what began life as a coin worth just 2 pence. Why such insane prices? It comes down to the sheer improbability of survival. Errors of this magnitude are almost always caught and destroyed before leaving the mint. For one to escape into circulation and then remain undetected for years is nothing short of miraculous. When such a piece finally surfaces, it ignites a frenzy among collectors and dealers alike, with bidding wars pushing values into territory that shocks even seasoned numismatists. So, how can you tell if your 1997 2 new pence might be one of the lucky few? Begin by checking the date, alignment, and spacing. Even the smallest misplacement can indicate a rare die pairing. Next, inspect the reverse design for anomalies, such as ghosting from another denomination or an off-center strike that shifts the feathers toward the edge. And of course, never underestimate the importance of condition. While errors can still bring high sums in worn states, pristine examples are where the real fortune lies. And now, we arrive at 1993, a year that, in the world of UK coinage, hides one of the most elusive and thrilling 2 new pence stories of them all. In fine condition, the coin before us shows the familiar signs of honest circulation light. Where across Queen Elizabeth I's portrait, her features softened yet still unmistakable, with the crown and hair detail clear enough to read under the right light. Designed once again by Raphael Macluf, her dignified profile faces right, framed by the inscription Elizabeth to DG, Reg. F. 1993. Flip it over, and the reverse displays the badge of the Prince of Wales, the 3 ostrich feathers bound by a coronet. The motto Ich Dien etching proudly beneath every element, still visible despite the years. What makes the 1993 2 new pence so exciting isn't just the year, it's the astonishing scarcity of certain variants. For reasons still debated among collectors, this year produced one of the rarest wrong metal strikes in the entire decimal penny series. Instead of the standard copper-plated steel, a few were mistakenly struck on bronze blanks from earlier years, creating a subtle but unmistakable color difference and a weight change that only a keen-eyed collector would notice. And it gets even wilder. There have been confirmed examples struck using dies intended for other denominations entirely, producing mule coins that have fetched eye-watering prices at auction. In fine condition, a standard 1993 2 new pence might sell for $25 to $70, depending on collector demand. But a brilliant uncirculated example can easily push into the $15,000 to $20,000 range. And when we talk about those ultra-rare mint-era varieties, the numbers become almost unreal. Documented private sales have breached $500,000, with bidding wars breaking out between collectors determined to secure one of these ghosts of the minting process. Yes, $500,000 for a coin that once bought nothing more than a packet of crisps. The key to spotting a jackpot 1993 is meticulous inspection. Start by checking the metal's tone and weight. Bronze errors will appear richer in color and slightly heavier than the standard copper-plated steel. Examine the lettering closely for doubling or distortion, and check for any mismatched design elements between the obverse and reverse. Even a barely perceptible shift in alignment can signal an incredibly valuable mule. Think about it. For 3 decades, coins like this have been quietly moving through everyday transactions, passing from one person to another without a second thought. One might have been in your change from a corner shop, slipped into your child's piggy bank, or left forgotten in a desk drawer. And yet, with the right combination of rarity and condition, it could be the coin that changes everything. The one that turns a casual discovery into a once-in-a-lifetime windfall. Before we close, let's take a step even further back to 1971, the year decimalization transformed the British currency forever. This was the first year the UK 2 new pence was ever issued, making it a cornerstone of the series and a true historic piece in coin collecting. In fine condition, the coin before us shows the gentle smoothing of decades in circulation, yet the details remain unmistakable. On the obverse, Arnold Machin's iconic portrait of Queen Elizabeth II captures her in her youthful prime, wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara with striking detail. On the reverse, the badge of the Prince of Wales, 3 ostrich feathers emerging from a coronet, sits proudly above the motto, Ich dien. Even with the softened high points, the design is instantly recognizable and still commands attention. Now, 1971 is special for more than just being the first year. It marks the moment the UK shifted from the old pounds, shillings, and pence system into the modern decimal currency we know today. For collectors, that alone makes this coin significant. But it's the rare minting errors from this year that make the 1971 2 new pence a potential goldmine. There are examples struck off-center, double-struck designs, where the portrait or lettering appears twice, and even a few wrong metal strikes. Coins minted on planchets meant for other denominations. In ordinary fine condition, this coin might bring $30 to $80 depending on buyer interest, but in brilliant uncirculated state untouched since leaving the Royal Mint, values can easily leap into the $15,000 range. And when you step into the realm of extreme rarity, such as a flawless off-metal error, the figures explode. Some of these special examples have been documented in private sales, exceeding $525,000. Yes, over $500,000 for a coin that began life worth just 2 pence. What's remarkable is that millions of these coins were minted in 1971, yet very few error pieces survived in collectible condition. Most were caught and destroyed before entering circulation, and of those that did escape, the passage of time has worn away the details that make them valuable. That's why discovering a sharp, original 1971 error today is like striking pure gold in the world of numismatics. If you ever find one of these in your possession, the first step is to resist the urge to clean it. Original surfaces are vital to value. Next, weigh it carefully and check the color. A heavier weight or slightly different metal tone could mean you have a wrong planchet strike. Examine the lettering for doubling or distortion, and check if the reverse lines up perfectly with the obverse. Even a slight rotation can turn a common coin into a rare and valuable treasure. Our journey now takes us to 1976, a year remembered for one of the hottest summers in UK history, a time of music, cultural change, and in the quiet world of coinage, a 2 new pence that could hold extraordinary surprises. In fine condition, the coin shows its age with gentle surface wear, the milling on the edges slightly softened from decades of use. The obverse features Arnold Machin's youthful yet regal portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, the girls of Great Britain and Ireland. Tiara, resting elegantly on her head, still visible, even if the sharper details have mellowed over time. On the reverse, the badge of the Prince of Wales, with its ostrich feathers and the proud Ich Dyn motto, remains fully recognizable, its details still standing despite the years of handling. While the 1976 2 new pence had a healthy mintage, not every coin struck that year was ordinary. Hidden among the millions are rare mint errors that elevate their value into jaw-dropping territory. Some pieces were struck off-center, leaving a crescent of blank metal along one edge. Others show double striking, where the design appears twice, in slightly different positions, creating a ghost-like image of the Queen or the reverse emblem. And in a few incredibly scarce cases, coins were struck on wrong planchet blanks meant for other denominations, instantly making them rarities of the highest order. In standard fine condition, a regular 1976 2 new pence might only sell for $20 to $50 to a collector filling out a date run, but a coin in brilliant uncirculated state untouched since the day it left the Royal Mint can reach into the $5,000 to $8,000 range. And when we talk about those ultra-rare error coins, the price can rocket sky high. Some have fetched over $490,000 in private collector sales, driven by intense bidding wars between those determined to own a piece of minting history that may never appear again. The key to identifying a valuable 1976 lies in attention to detail. Check the weight carefully. Any deviation from the standard could indicate a wrong planchet strike. Look for unusual metal tones that might signal a mix-up in the minting process, and inspect both sides for doubling in the lettering or images, as these errors are among the most sought after by serious collectors. Even a small misalignment between the obverse and reverse can mean the difference between a coin worth a few dollars and one worth a small fortune. Our journey now takes us into the new millennium. 2001, a year of change, anticipation, and in the world of coinage, a 2 new pence that many overlook, yet some versions have stunned collectors with unbelievable values. In fine condition, this coin shows the gentle marks of circulation, light smoothing on the milling, faint wear on the high points, and just enough surface patina to give it that well-traveled look. The obverse features the refined Raphael Maklouf portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, her expression calm yet commanding, the crown still showing fine details despite years of handling. On the reverse, the familiar badge of the Prince of Wales, 3 ostrich feathers emerging from a coronet, remains fully visible, the Ich Dyn motto clear to the naked eye. While 2001 saw millions of these coins minted, what makes it fascinating to collectors are the rare anomalies that slip through the Royal Mint's quality checks. There have been reports of broadstrike errors where the coin was pressed without the restraining collar, producing a slightly larger, misshapen planchet. Even more intriguing are the rare wrong metal strikes where a 2 pence design was struck on a blank intended for another denomination, resulting in a completely unexpected color and weight. And then, there are mule errors, mismatched obverse and reverse designs so scarce that when they appear, they set off a storm of competitive bidding. A standard 2001 2 new pence in fine condition might fetch $15 to $40 to complete a collector's set, but in uncirculated or proof condition, untouched since minting, the value can leap to $5,000 or more. And in those elusive, high-grade error examples, the numbers reach into the stratosphere. Some documented private transactions have exceeded $495,000. That's nearly $500,000 for a coin most people wouldn't give a second glance. So, how can you spot a jackpot 2001 2 new pence? Start with the basics. Weigh it to ensure it matches the standard copper-plated steel mass. If it's even slightly off, you could be holding a wrong planchet strike. Inspect both sides carefully for doubling in the lettering or in the fine details of the feathers and coronet. And check the alignment if you flip the coin and the designs don't line up perfectly. You may have a rare rotated die error. Think about it, this coin has been in circulation for just over 2 decades. It's passed through countless hands, been tucked into change jars, dropped into parking meters, and slipped across shop counters without anyone suspecting its true worth. And yet, for the sharp-eyed collector, it represents the chance to find a life-changing prize in the most ordinary of places. That's the thrill that keeps coin hunters searching, because sometimes the most valuable treasures are hiding right there in plain sight.